I can do is I can, just show you this thing moving a little bit, because I think
great,
that's
great.
Real beauty of. I mean, it's a very small display, so you will not get a lot of movement, but it is
very wonderful. It's wonderful. Like seeing a vehicle traveling in front of you, it's like giving me goosebumps. Like it's all my
very
friends, and I'm happy to be again back on YouTube with the one-on-one interaction with you all. And this time we are having with us a very great personality to begin with, and I have just seen his videos on YouTube, and I just came to know that he's a very creative person in terms of making models. So we all are fascinated about the miniature models, and we have fascination for railways and all. It's working, but many of us are from childhood onwards are very much fascinated about its miniature models, how the train works, and we all are. As a kid, we all used to play with trains. So train is what our first khilona is. So from that stage, now we have gone to a very next level of working of models and the miniatures. So we are glad to have Kaustav Chatterjee with us today, and he's a known personality on YouTube. His videos have 1 billion views also. So million views, and on some of the videos on making miniature models of train, and which are very, very realistic in nature. And to my surprise, I was just surprised whether it was a miniature model working or it was a real loco just moving on the rails. So welcome Kaustav on my YouTube channel. I again really want to thank you for giving me the time and opportunity to actually have a one-to-one interaction with you. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I have been looking forward to. I went through your channel, and there are काफी सारे channels है. I mean, ऐसा नहीं कि YouTube में Indian Railways के ऊपर ज़्यादा channels नहीं है. I mean, there are a lot of people who are doing it. Rail fanning बोलिए, or different topics, knowledge based topics and all. But I think आपका channel काफी different है from the rest of the things that you can find. I mean, I think you are adding value in a very different way to the community that spreads across various knowledge which is normally not accessible to people. I mean, Google search करके मिल ही जाता है, but it is not very easy, to gain that insight unless you have the level of expertise and insight that you have. So from that standpoint, I am honored. And it's a great pleasure. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to
thank you very much, Kaustav,
to take my interview.
So just let's start directly on the great work which you are doing. So tell us something about how this all started. We all have this fun and fascination for toys and khilona and all childhood memories for trains, but taking it to a different level to a very different level. How this all started, means it's in India especially, how this all started for you?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think I remember I had no special fascination towards toy trains as a kid. So बचपन में हाँ खिलौना जैसा था सबके साथ टॉय ट्रेन भी मिला था मुझे, एक छोटा सा वो गोल गोल घूमता था, and that was pretty fascinating for me. But I was fascinated by anything that used to move. और मेरा काम ये था कि कोई खिलौना जो भी मिले उसको पहले लो, थोड़ी देर खेलने के बाद उसको तोड़ फोड़ करो, उसको खोल के देखो अंदर की क्या है और कैसे. And eventually I used to destroy all my toys as a kid. And from a mediocre family background, you can understand, right? तो वो तो ज्यादा देर तक एक टूट गया तो टूट गया भाई, वही टूटा हुआ खिलौना लेके ही खेलो, तुम्हें और खिलौना नहीं दिया जाएगा कम से कम अगले 6 महीने तक. So eventually what happened is, I remember as a kid, I was always fascinated about 3-dimensional things. तो मेरे को जो होता है बचपन में ड्राइंग स्कूल में भेजा गया था. So drawing में people used to draw different kids used to draw different fruits, birds and things like that. मेरे को उसमें कोई interest था नहीं, मेरे को आता भी नहीं था. In fact, to be honest, even today, if you ask me to draw something, it is going to be terrible. So I cannot play within 2 dimensions. तो मेरे को I remember वो बचपन में जिनके पास मैं जाता था to learn art, and I was like what 5-6 साल का उम्र में. I mean, it's not even like too old. So that person taught me how to make a house from one sheet of paper. Just one sheet of paper, सिर्फ cut and fold and glue and you make a house. तो वहां से शुरू हुआ मेरा journey in miniature and 3-dimensional things. तो जब से मैंने वो सीखा था, मुझे अभी भी याद है, मैं घर तो बनाए, मतलब हर एक वो एक्सरसाइज बुक होता है ना, उसका कागज फाड़ के मैं घर बनाना शुरू किया. तो 1-2 दिन में 10-15 ऐसे छोटे मोटे डिफरेंट साइज के हाउसेस, पेपर हाउसेस वाज लाइंग अराउंड in the flat. तो वहां से शुरू हुआ. Then I started kept building and I took an interest in making little things by my hand. And as a kid, whatever you have access to, kagaz, cardboard, and that's pretty much what was cheap and available at that point. तो मैंने डिस्प्ले बनाता था, मेरे को समझ में भी नहीं आता था, मैं देखता था, मैं उसको देख के I used to replicate that. I discovered model train when I was quite older. So before I left for my engineering studies, 18 साल उम्र वैसा ही कुछ टाइम पे, after finishing schools and between school and engineering college में जाने के बीच में I took my nephews to a toys fair हो रहा था in Calcutta. So there was a person who brought in beautiful, proper scale model display of model trains. So I was always fascinated about trains क्योंकि बचपन में जो होता है, I mean, everywhere you go, especially I'm talking about some 25-30 years ago, जहाँ भी जाना है ट्रेन में ही जाना है, घूमने जाना है ट्रेन में जाना है, locally. And I was in Calcutta, so local train it was a lifeline, right? And then in any time there was a vacation, it was always about trains. So of course I was interested in trains. मेरे को trains अच्छा लगता था. And in that day, on that day, that moment, I could actually match trains to miniature. That the 2 things that I really like वो एक साथ आ सकता है. That was my the first eye opener for me. So that I would say where it started. तो उसके बाद जो होता है, I mean, you are a student in engineering college, पैसा तो है नहीं, but I sort of knew that from that point on that that's really something I wanted to do seriously. तो अभी भी याद है पहला जॉब जब मिला था, उसके बाद the very not first salary तो जो मिला था रेंट देने में चला गया था. The I think the second or third salary जो मिला उसमें से पैसा इकट्ठा करके the very first thing that I bought for myself, after of course giving gift to family and parents, sister, girlfriend, सबको देने के बाद, the first thing I bought for myself was actually a model train set, a proper electric model train set. तो वहां से शुरू करके then I took interest in it very deeply and then I started collecting models. मेरा ये है कि बहुत लोग कलेक्ट करते हैं. I mean, there are a lot of people who collect model trains. मेरा कलेक्शन में इंटरेस्ट है नहीं. I really don't care if I have 100 model train locomotives क्योंकि उसमें from my perspective, I don't, until and unless you see them in their miniature place, like where they belong, you don't really get to see the beauty of that model. तो मेरे पास वो डिस्प्ले जो है, the realism जो है, that is much bigger than the models itself. So मेरे लिए एक मॉडल ट्रेन के साथ साथ उसका डिस्प्ले भी होना है, उसके साथ उसको एटमॉस्फेयर भी बनना है. If you are displaying a model train of a particular model train, जैसे कि मेरा next project जो है, काफी दिन से मेरा plans है, I am going to make a small display of Mathiran.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I know you will be you will be interested in
No,
that.
so Matharan
So
is like Matharan. I mean, I work in the Central Railway, so Matharan is in our
correct.
Central Railway. So I also visited Matharan, but it's a wonderful place to be. Like all toy trains. So I have one coach right now in my workshop. Someone has brought it there, and it's we just wanted to make it a library sort of a thing. So I have one coach right now
Okay.
in Math. Yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. I'm pretty sure you will like it. I mean, that is my very next project. मुझे just time बनाना है. I mean, I just have to get my time sorted and then get started on that project. तो अभी माथेरान का जो ये जो डिस्प्ले बनाना है, इसका प्लानिंग शुरू हुई थी आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर अराउंड दैट टाइम, 1 साल पहले. तो उसके बाद से आई थिंक आई हैव बीन डूइंग रिसर्च ऑन माथेरान. आई हैव नेवर बीन टू माथेरान, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. I have never been to Matharan, and that is actually one of the things which you can say it's a challenge, which you can say it's the fun part also. So you don't technically have to visit a place to make a model of it, right? So but I have been studying Matharan, uska different time mein kya hua tha, what type of scenery do you see throughout the year of that place, right? क्योंकि समर में माथेरान एक तरह का दिखता है, मॉनसून में एक तरह का दिखता है, the greeneries, the trees, the hills. So I have been researching on that for last nearly a year, and all that research. Hello.
Yeah.
Did I get?
Yeah. Nah,
you can hear me, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
So no, I just got a phone call, so that's sort of
Okay.
yeah. Sorry about that. So I have been doing that research because now that I know exactly how Matharan looks, right? उनका features क्या है, उसको अभी मेरे को design करना है कि in the available space I have, how I am going to bring out those features, ताकि the moment someone sees that, they know this is Matharan. Like ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने एक माथेरान का लोगो लगा दिया और 2-3 कोच लगा दिया और कहीं पे ट्रैक बिछा दिया और बोल रहा हूँ ये माथेरान है. Anybody who has been to Matharan, anybody who has seen a photo of Matharan, anybody who has seen a video of Matharan should be able to see that place and recognize कि भाई ये वही जगह है.
So it's not only about that coach, it's about that environment, it's all about that land, place, and it's the topography and whatever is out. जो उसके आसपास है, that's really matters, especially in what you are just explaining, because just you told कि some of them have a collection hobby. So I personally have some sort of a collection hobby. So my parents used to have. So this is what we get in NRM National Rail Museum. So they have some sort of a miniature. So this is a Fairy Queen miniature, which is like, I'm not very good in history, but it's written here like it's a Fairy Queen 1885 living legend of National Rail Museum. So it's sort of a thing which people used to collect. So now someone have this thing with him, may recognized by its ivory, maybe like something which the colors speak, but it's there's nothing, it's a plain background. No one can recognize ke ye kahan chalta hoga, whether it run in Ooty or in Matharan or Shimla. So it's all same, only the difference in color. But what you are saying is very relevant. It's sort of the environment which makes that more live. It's itself ki you are referring to Matharan. It's the coach will turn. I can just imagine, I've been Matharan once. So coach itself, it's not a very different coach. All are appears to be same, but yes, when it is in Matharan, that all things change itself. Like it is all topography and all. Yeah, very relevant. Very relevant.
Exactly. So the thing is, Indian 6 for an example, right? The famous that started in Matharan, then they have moved into DHR, right? Darjeeling mein leke gaya tha. Now the same locomotive, Indian 6, and the coaches are of course different. DHR mein coaches alag hai, thoda lamba hai than what there is in Matharan. Kyunki Matharan ka twists and turns are much sharper than what they have in Darjeeling. So it is, so yes, it is possible कि आप एक Indian 6 बना लिए, उसके पीछे 4 कोच लगा दिए, and then you can put it in there. हाँ, जिनको पता है उनको शायद लगेगा कि ठीक है, चलो ये माथेरान का ट्रेन है,
चला सकते हैं, चलने लायक,
you will चल सकते हैं, but you will not get that feeling कि भाई ये मेरे को माथेरान लेके गया है. I mean, the moment you look at the display, it is like I am in Matharan. आपको लगेगा कि I am becoming smaller and smaller. I'm getting into that scene. मेरा goal ये है कि I want people to take there to that place through my work. So that is the whole idea, and that is where I think my thought process is a little different than what others do in this space. काफी लोग बनाते हैं. A lot of people like trains. They have beautiful displays, very nice works, very expensive models. I mean, train models are not cheap, right? I mean, kabhi it can go up to tens of thousands, even a lakh, to be honest. So yeah, any day. I mean, 1 lakh is not really that big a deal for a model train model, to be honest. I mean, if you really go by that level of quality. But मेरा goal वो model से थोड़ा हटके है. मुझे वो जगह में लेके जाना है लोगों को. So that is basically where I think my work is different than what others are doing at this point, at least in India. Yes.
So how this start when you personally, you were very much sure that I'll be like going in this model making and all miniature making, realization of this all things. So now you are raising your own bars, because making a simple home, that to a level of train which appears to be very realistic to that level, that even I think that some of the Hollywood movies, they use like such type of miniatures to recreate the scenes, and maybe they appears to be that real that maybe CGI itself fails on certain account. So when you were doing this thing, especially in India, now when we are talking in terms of India, so now when you were in India and you were doing all this thing, so is it very common or easy for a person like me or any person in India to get into all this thing and start with this thing? So what's your experience in terms when you are in India? Because in foreign, people have this charm. They have museum itself dedicated just for miniature models. They have Guinness Book of World Record. They make their whole city itself in miniature models.
Correct.
But in India, I hardly have seen any of such type of things. And even in NRM, which I just paid a recent visit, they are in they're not even very close to what right now you are doing. That's I can pretty much say on that account. So how's your experience in terms when you are in India, and especially with these things?
Not easy at all by any means. Kyunki so model trains is it is called one of the best hobby in the world. I mean, jo log model trains karte hain, and it is one of the most popular hobbies, and possibly one of the biggest hobby economy, as you call it, right? Kyunki hobby is hobby. Lagta hai ki chalo, it is just a hobby, but it is not really just a hobby, because for everything there is manufacturing, there is economical part of it, and how the entire world, the situations change over time. That also impacts any economy, and that impacts hobby also, right? Kyunki logo ke paas jitna paisa hoga wo log spend kar payenge. But it's along with the monetary part of it, one of the things that really picked it up for for the rest of the world, so to speak, mostly the first world countries. So there are two things. One is, this is a hobby that requires you to be hands-on. Like aapko khud ka haath se kaam karna hai. So the hobby is not really aapko ek display kharidna hai. The hobby is कि आप pieces लेके आएंगे, आके आपको उसको बनाना है. So there are people, and I'm not talking about museums. I'm not talking about people with millions of dollars, and they can throw money at anything and they can get buy whatever they want. हाँ, वैसा लोग भी है जो बनाते हैं. I'm not saying that they don't do it. They also do it. But as a hobby, this is growing in the Western countries, because normal people like you and me, they first of all want to build something with their hand, right? Second of all, they can afford to get what needs to be done to build the display for themselves.
The raw material.
Exactly. So for an example, the models themselves, this is about 120-year-old hobby, right? So it started different parts in UK and Germany. So I'm talking about turn of the 20th century, the early 1900s. So वो लोग tin plate का बनता था, steam में चलता हुआ बनता था, फिर battery आया, फिर electric आया. Then the hobby came to United States. To United States, may of course everything they do a lot of marketing, right? So that marketing sort of helped the hobby grow to a place that, and they promoted the hobby as a means to sort of have good time with your kids at the same time teach them various things. So ये hobby ऐसा है कि you cannot just go and build it. You have to learn. You need a lot of skills to do this. Like you need to learn carpentry, basic carpentry. Okay. क्योंकि एक आपको अगर बड़ा डिस्प्ले बनाना है, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपका वो डिस्प्ले बनाने के लिए जो लकड़ी जो होगा, जो प्लाईवुड जो होगा, उसको आपको कैसे कट करना है, कैसे बनाना है. Then it will come a time then when you have to do the electrical work. So उसके लिए आपको basic electricals का knowledge होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि you can just buy some wires and connect, because eventually you are going to get a short if you don't really know how you are dealing with your circuits. True. So then things grew, and today it is all about technology and digital control and computers. So it is a hobby that demands a lot of your time, your money, as well as your knowledge. Patience. So वो knack होना चाहिए to sort of build yourself to that. And there are people who are doing it for their entire life. Like they started building model train layouts as a kid with their dads. Okay. Their dads they made some display, they passed it on to their son. Their son, they have picked it up, they are building it. So there are people who are building it like say 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. They are making it. So it is a part of their life. It is not really something that you go to a shop and buy.
It's a legacy which they are transferring to their generations, I guess.
Correct. So that is the difference between how it sort of grew in abroad versus in India. Because India में, because of our economical situation, like today, आज तो middle class के पास थोड़ा बहुत पैसा है. So first of all, there was never a situation where we had any manufacturer who could do it, because price point में नहीं match होता, right? So you just cannot, considering how much sophistication it takes, right? The degree of sophisticated tooling and everything that you need to manufacture these kind of products, उसका जो price point होगा वो इंडिया में चलाना बहुत मुश्किल था. Even today it is difficult, because from a business standpoint it will not make sense for the amount of sale that they are going to do. So that volume का भी generate होना बहुत मुश्किल है for businesses to be able to do it. And then comes the fact that there are not a lot of people who are hands-on, right? In this country, जो खुद का काम करना चाहते हैं. So for an example, आज अगर आपको, if you feel like doing anything, if there is an electrical problem in your house, there are not a lot of people who will be able to solve it themselves, because they do not have the basic knowledge of electricity. True. So you're dependent on an electrician. If there is a carpentry issue, आपको एक छोटा सा चीज बनाना है, even I know people who, to put a shelf, they ask carpenters to come to their home, right? And they pay whatever 800 rupees, 1000 rupees, or whatever it is, just to drill 4 होल लगाना है दीवार पे, वो करके उसको ऊपर शेल्फ लगा के जाना है, उसके लिए they take 800 rupees and they go. So we do not have the skill available to common people to be able to take this on as a hobby. I think these are the main challenges why this hobby hasn't really grown the way it has happened outside of India. The thing that gives me hope is that it is changing. क्योंकि अभी काफी लोगों के पास, especially in my generation, I see that there are a lot of people who are interested to do things hands-on, right? उन लोगों को खुद को अगर कुछ काम है, they just go, they buy
So
a drill
this
machine or
DIY
something like
culture
that.
of TikToks and maybe like of
DIY,
YouTube,
exactly,
yeah. So people are more
exactly.
getting into this DIY sort of things. So there are shops for
हाँ,
just
खुद
dedicated for
बनाएंगे,
DIY.
करेक्ट करेक्ट, खुद बनाएंगे, खुद करेंगे, ये जो mentality है, that is what I think is now there is a chance that this hobby can grow in India. So, and the reason why I gave you that, sort of the long answer, the winded answer, is because when I started, I think some 17, 18 years ago, so I had nothing in India, nobody in India that, or at least that I knew, where you can start with that culture, right? So I have always been a very handy man. मैं बचपन से खुद, I mean, एक time पे my career goal was to become a carpenter. बचपन में, क्योंकि I always was fascinated about how वो बनता है, कैसे करते हैं, ये cutting हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है. And then I went to engineering college and I studied industrial engineering. So basically productions and things like that. So I always had this knack of doing things hands-on. So when I started, I just started honing my skill. मेरे को, it's not easy if you have to get started, and there was no guide. But whatever I learned in the engineering colleges, college, and different workshops and things like that, I took knowledge from there. I applied in real life, even though when I started doing a job, it was not really production engineering job that I started. It was a different job altogether. But I stayed in touch with the hands-on skills. And I started with American models. I started making American scenes because that was what available there. Then I graduated towards making displays and focusing more on the scenery rather than the model. So I have been doing that using different materials, trying out different techniques, improving my skills over the last 15 years. So now I am in a place where I can say that, yes, I have all the ammunitions I need to be able to create realistic displays of India, because it is not easy. India in miniature is not easy because it's so unique and there are so many variables. And when it comes to the techniques of it, right, the artistic or artistic techniques boliye or engineering techniques boliye is very different. So you cannot really, you can take inspiration from what people are doing abroad, but you cannot really use the same thing and do it here. So एक तो है कि आपका subject पूरा अलग है, क्योंकि इंडिया का the nature of the country itself is very different from Western countries. Second ये है कि the materials and things like the raw materials, the paints and what they have access to, we don't have access to that, right? So it is sort of, you have to marry art and engineering together and build your own skill to be able to do what I am trying to do. And that is why it is difficult. That is actually the reason why I said it is not easy. So you have to have certain level of dedication, or wo drive hona chahiye if you intend to make a proper Indian prototype, as we call it.
Okay. So now, when it's very obvious that whenever one of the model is of large scale, when the size is very big, it's very much it's kind of an easy task for build it, because you have when the scale is large, the material can be used of a better varied strength and all, you can plan it. And when the size is more, so the scale somehow is not that very important. Now you have to just fabricate it and things can be done. But the level of work which you are doing, that you are going on very, very small scales, like the detailing work, especially the detailing work, when you are going for that very minute detailings, like if it is to be like 3 steps in a coach, then you have to place 3 steps. That when you have to 5 seats or whatever is there, you have to keep 5 seats. If there is a washroom or there's a wash basin, you try to make a wash basin out of it. There are 2 headlamps, so you'll try to place a 2 headlamps of that to a very correct level, so that that headlamp will appears to be a headlamp. It won't it won't appears to be like you have put 2 buttons or like you have put 2 dots in it just to make it a headlamp. So when you are going in that detailing, how much is now the technology or maybe the latest science or technology and whatever the material you have has assisted you in making all those things? Because I can think that you cannot find a lens or a small glass piece of that small level when you are going into that detailing. But now maybe like if,
Agree.
how you are managing all those things if you are going into that details?
Right. So I think till last year, I would say I used to build everything by hand. So anytime I had to do any fine detailing like that, I had to build every single piece, carve it out of plastic or cardboard, and build it piece by piece, and give it a shape. So I'll just show you a quick example.
Yeah, there are a lot many DIYs type of a thing which are in the background, but I can see solder wire and everything is there. Yeah.
Exactly. So for an example, this is a barge. So I have a model of a port. Okay. So this is a barge which I made for that. So everything that you see on this model, including all this, the wooden planks, ये जो tires यहाँ पे जो है, everything, ये जो जहाँ पे वो tires का जो रस्सी जो है वो जहाँ लगाया जाता है, even including all this tarpaulin, and everything is built from scratch. Okay. So except these figures are the only thing that are purchased in this.
But
okay.
I guess there will be no customized figures available in the market. I mean, you cannot buy.
India mein nahi hai. I have to import them.
So, if I want like I like a wheel. Say suppose you are making a model for loco itself, and then you want a wheel. So I think you won't be able to find that size of a wheel, that sort of an piston, that sort of an roof, that sort of an rail. If your vision is of scaling of that small level, market mein, no one will give you a customize of that thing. I think it's
correct.
Up to you.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So I think the thing is, it is in India mein karna, if you want to source it in India, it is not possible. It is not possible because nothing exists. But as I was mentioning, Bahar people have been doing this for last over 100 years.
So they will customize it for you. They'll make
customized. There is no customization like that. So what happens is there are set standards that they have come up with.
Okay.
So there are standard scales, what we call as model railroading scales or modeling scales. So it goes from model railroading, especially, it goes from 1:22.5 till even today 1:450. So that is the range that you can vary within the model trains. So what we are doing, or rather I am doing mostly, is 1:87 or 1:160. So it is called HO scale or N scale, depending on what you're building, the scale that you're choosing.
1:160 means you scale it down to 160 means.
Correct. Yeah. So basically a human figure. So this is actually 1:160. So a human figure is about a 6 feet human figure is going to be around 11 millimeter tall in this scale. Okay. So whereas if you go for 1:87, the same human figure will somewhere come into 22, 23, not even 20, 21 millimeter or something like that, right? The same figure. So the way it works is it literally goes, if you are 180 centimeter tall in real life, what will be your scale height, and just divide it by that scale. Like 180 centimeter is your overall height. So you just divide it by 160, what you get is your N scale height. Okay. Or you divide it by 87, what you get is your HO scale height. So that is how the whole scaling thing actually happen. And outside of India, they have pretty much made these as standards. So you have the tracks, you have the wheels, you have the locomotives, everything is available. So, and there are set industry standards, that's how they are followed, right? And all manufacturing actually happens that way. So that's why I was mentioning, right? I mean, it's a big thing outside of India. I mean, it is not like ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरे को मन हुआ मैं आज कुछ बनाना शुरू किया. I am starting from scratch. So I have the entire thing in front of me. All the manufacturers, they have their different scales, different level of details. different price points. All those things are available in front of me. I just have to decide मैं क्या बनाना चाहता हूँ. उसके हिसाब से I will go to the shop or order online. मेरे पास सामान आएगा and then I will just start making it. The challenge in India is that is not possible. So for all these things like tracks, like figures, like locomotives, the machineries or mechanisms, you have to import it from abroad at this point of time. So there is nobody making it in India. आपको अगर बनाना है, आपको वो स्केल में रहना है, स्केल में रह के बाहर से मंगवाना है, आपको कस्टम्स ड्यूटी वगैरह जो भी देना है देके मंगवा के आपको बनाना है. Okay. And that is actually another reason why I was saying it is difficult, because financially speaking, a person who, say in the United States, किसको अगर $50,000 साल का salary मिलता है, that person is okay. I mean, ऐसा नहीं है कि that person is rich, right? I mean, it's sort of like pretty much standard job that they do, get around $50,000-$60,000 or something like that. So they can comfortably do this hobby, right, with that income. The price points are set that way. Now, when you're talking about doing that in India, an equivalent salary of $50,000 a year in India is for a person who is really doing well in his job. तो उसको मतलब उतना ही ऊपर जाना है एक corporate life में या whatever the income or in the business to be able to earn the equivalent of $50,000 a year in India, right? Now, even if that person manages to do this, earn that much of money, first you will have to spend a lot more time doing that he won't have time to do all this hobby thing. उसको भाई प्रोफेशन में ध्यान देना ना, तभी जाके तो उसको उतना पैसा मिलेगा.
Hobby will not earn you anything. That's a statement in India. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to work much harder. So you are working much harder to earn the equivalent amount of money than your American counterpart, who is, earning the same amount of money doing normal job. I'm not demeaning any job, but it's very normal job. They don't have typical work pressure that you have to manage in India to be able to earn that much of money. And even after that, if you manage to get those things from US or any other country to India, eventually you are paying more than twice than that person who is sitting in the United States is paying.
Okay. So if a model, he can make it in, like, say, suppose 5,000 in Indian rupees, the same will come out to be like around 8 to 9 to 10 or maybe 12 in India.
Exactly. So US में एक सामान अगर 5,000 का है, तो by the time you ship it, pay customs and get it in your hand, that will cost you 12,000.
And if anything misses out, then everything is like khatam.
Everything is gone. If you lose it, everything is gone. So that is the disparity. I mean, that is precisely why it is not happening in India for last several days or years, decades. I mean, I started some 15, 16 years ago. तब से मैं देख रहा हूँ people लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ऐसा नहीं कि there are any dearth of talent in India. There are a lot of the global standard. आपको ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड जो है, जो बाहर का देश में बन गया है, अब वो स्टैंडर्ड में आप नहीं बना सकते, क्योंकि एक तो इंडिया में कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर नहीं है, और आपको अगर बनाने के लिए बाहर से लाना है, द अमाउंट ऑफ डिस्पैरिटी यू हैव टू डील विद फाइनेंशियली, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. It is not possible for everybody to do it.
Okay. So it's a tough hobby to actually be in, like
tough hobbies.
Yeah, it's not like SUPW classrooms we used to be having.
Correct. I mean, it's a really, you have to be really passionate about it. If you're not really passionate about it, and it might sound weird, but you have to make sacrifices in life to be able to maintain this hobby in India.
True, very true. In terms of Indian parents also, because just sitting in a room and cutting papers and doing something, it's a tough task to be with parents, because they'll simply say what you all are doing here and making model and logo, go and buy something, a small khilona for you. So it's a tough
Correct.
task. I can understand. I can deal with. So now,
Yeah.
when now, since you are into this, so you must be. So now, are you using all 3D printers and all for also for making all those things when you are not able to get it from outside or maybe from anywhere else, like something on
Correct.
that?
So I could start with that just in this year. So
Okay.
क्योंकि वो 3D printer का भी same story है.
Acha.
Like 3D printing is a huge hobby outside of India, and
Yes, yes,
things are
yes.
really available, right? It has
People
been
are
a
making
big
like
hobby out.
anything. They are doing customization. They want. They are doing. I don't know what level of thing, but they are doing anything. Like they want a cup, they will make it. They want a holder, they make it. They want a finger playing anything stuff, they will make it. No, so it's scissors, they will make it. So sometimes I feel
Exactly.
that they are not going outside. They are just making it from themselves and they are using it.
Exactly. So that is actually the culture outside, because they have tools available to them to be able to do things that they want, right?
Yes.
So it's a क्या बोलते हैं उसको वो you know it's very difficult because one thing comes after the other, right? So it is the egg and the chicken situation in this case. So अगर लोगों के पास will होगा, so they will find a way to do it. But for them to be able to do it, there needs to be some bare minimum threshold support system that needs to be there. Only then they will be able to do it. So हम लोगों के यहाँ that is the challenge. Like for an example, ये 3D printing, I have been contemplating about 3D printing for last 5 years. But India में कुछ है नहीं. Now to get, so anything that you are getting a machine or something like that, getting that thing is easy. But उसके बाद to continue working on this, you need the raw material, you need the support, you need consumables. तो उसका भी एक साइकिल चलता है. ऐसा नहीं है कि you just buy it once, 2-3 चीजें आप प्रिंट कर लिए, उसके बाद आपका रोल खत्म हो गया या रेजिन खत्म हो गया, then you are sitting back क्योंकि आपके पास है नहीं रॉ मटेरियल लाने के लिए, बनाने के लिए. So that was the challenge. So things improved a little bit only in this year. Only in 2021, and I don't know how it improved. So for somehow there are some companies who are able to get proper good quality 3D printers in India. Again, there is a price disparity. Again, we pay nearly double than what people abroad they're paying, but it is available now. So आपके पास,
it's like if you get all those things, is there is any company support or is there is any infrastructure in terms of companies, private sector or something? People are like any institutions or maybe like some organizations, are they supporting, or there is anyone who is supporting in India, or we are only people like you are the only lone warriors, you are supporting each other, or maybe like, so you have a gang of people who are supporting each other, bro, I need this or I need this. So you are just supporting each other. Is there any mechanism in India which supports this thing?
Very little. I think some people are trying to do that now. So in terms of 3D printing, let me just talk about that a little bit, because that is important to what I am doing right now. So what we started doing is one of my very close friends, and he is a brilliant designer. So he has been designing models of Indian railways, locomotives, and rolling stock for a long time. Uska bhi similar story like mine. He also started as a kid, but he started on the software side of it. I started on the hands-on side of it. So he has been designing that for a long time. So we became friends, I think 5-6 saal ho gaya hai. And then we started, I always wanted to make Indian models. That is what it is, right? You are in India, you are an Indian, yahi pe ho. So only up to a point, you will be able to keep up your interest building American things or German things or whatever it is. End of the day, you would like to build something that you can relate to. So we planned for a long time कि बाहर से 3D printing कराएंगे. So initially we tried Shapeways. Cost was prohibitive, so we couldn't even do it. We found some suppliers in China. कुछ models बनाए, फिर तो COVID आ गया, and then the business relationship between China and India, it got sour. So even we couldn't get things that we wanted from China also. We sort of thought कि भाई बंद कर देंगे, कोई फायदा है नहीं, अभी रहने दो, जितना थोड़ा बहुत जो लाए थे चाइना से उसी में से प्रोजेक्ट्स वगैरह बना के we'll make something, we'll do something. So from this year onward, we saw some retailers, they are able to get quality 3D printers in India, and they're able to provide some basic support in terms of consumables also, like the materials, like the resin, or if you're doing FDM printing, those filaments and things like that, they are able to provide that. That is why we started a small venture to do this in India now. So we got our 3D printers and we are making Indian models at home. And right now it is in kit format. So we are just, making the kit and we are asking people to make their own models. But the plan is that we will eventually be able to make full models of Indian trains and give it to people, right? And which is completely make in India. Which is, of course, pretty much done keeping Indian Railways in mind. So there will be no compromise. Like हम लोग अभी भी a lot of people who try doing this, पर उन लोगों को क्या करना पड़ता है कि they have to get, make some compromises because they have to get a working mechanism of a foreign locomotive. फिर उसको retrofit करना होता है. So if the moment you try to do that kind of a retrofitting, eventually you will not be able to come to the accuracy level, right? Or a proper scale model. आपको इधर-उधर करना पड़ेगा चीजें. So, and we also want to focus on not just the broad gauge things, because I think a big part of Indian Railways heritage or even the culture itself is mostly in narrow gauge and meter gauge.
Yes.
Because the narrow and meter gauge trains are basically the, what do you call it? Where you have the poetry, for a lack of better word, of railways, right? So we also are able to do that using those technologies now. So I have two, I don't know if you can see it. I'll just,
that's the printer.
Yeah, there are two right now. So this one is actually printing as of today. So it is printing right now. And we are able to get, and because how the technology has evolved, we are able to get some fascinating details actually. I mean, really, really good details. So I'll just try to, like for an example, this is the interior. It's not cleaned yet. I mean, it's not done. So this is printed, last night. So I still have to clean it and, cure it. And there are some procedures. But this is the interior. ये shell अभी print हो रहा है, उसके बाद इसको shell बनेगा तो this will be a complete model.
Great.
So we are able to do some of those things now, and that is the exciting part for me, because मेरे को अगर खुद के लिए बनाना है तो I will be able to make whatever I want, right? I mean, I have been to the United States. I like their railroads. I can relate to some extent क्योंकि मैं बहुत दिन से उनका trains का history में study किया, because I started with American railroads. I like railways as a whole, so I am also interested in British railways, German railways. मेरे को, because I am very passionate about it, आप मेरे को कोई भी topic दे दो, I will be able to make something and relate to it. That is not how it is for everybody. So इंडिया में बैठ के किसी को अगर इमेजिन करना हो कि भाई मेरे को एक मॉडल बनाना है तो मेरे को वो यूएस में, न्यूयॉर्क में एक ऐसा कुछ तो होता था 50 साल पहले, उसको इमेजिन कर नहीं होता है. You have to be able to relate to where you belong.
You need that connect. Person, that सामने वाला needs to connect. It's a American है, ये तो American sort of a thing है. It's not with me. मेरे तो वही. People have the fascination of that नीला वाला डब्बा. Still, people are not like out of that नीला वाला डब्बा का जो fun था या love था. People are not really accepting the new colors, but still they want that old charm era. छुक छुक जो word आ रहा था, धुआं था. That's what the real soul was there.
Exactly. So that is basically what I am really excited about. I don't know how it is going to go because there are still a lot of challenges, as I said. Like abhi bhi I mean, I can make the design here. So with my friend, and he has been brilliant. I mean, he is really, I would say, one of the best designers I have seen in my life in
You
terms
once
of,
told he lives in
miniature.
Mumbai itself, I guess.
Yeah, he lives in
Yeah.
he's in Mumbai itself, and his work is fascinating. But as much as we can get everything done here in terms of the outer design, there is still that question of inner mechanism.
Yes.
Now, the thing that actually drives the train, that is very difficult to source in India. So it is not. So abhi hum logo ka challenge ye hai ki it is not about skill. So my friend and I taken together, his name is Jeremiah Bunian. So we have the skill to do whatever we want to do, but the thing is the supply chain, materials aapko kahan milega. So we are trying to see, trying to work with people here in India, organizations here in India, companies here in India, to see if they can help us source some of these things from here. But there are still some items which we have to get from abroad, because they have perfected this thing for last 100 years. You cannot just go there, man hua chala gaya, aisa nahi hota hai. They have been doing this for so many research, so many, millions and billions of possibly of dollars of investment in research and technology. True. And things like that they have done over the years. You just cannot do that sitting at home, though 3D printer lake. It's not realistic to expect.
Yeah, really.
But I think it is going to pick up a little bit, because I think now, as I said, one thing that I'm really excited to see, at least in our generation, people have got that knack to do things hands-on, the do-it-yourself culture, and people have started appreciating these things. पहले क्या होता था, हाँ कुछ कोई तो बनाया, म्यूजियम में है, गया देखा, मजा आया, आ गए. People like to now get their hands on it, right? So hopefully, let's see how it goes. And
yeah, so because many of my friends are there, like they all are very fascinated about the model, and I have seen n number of people in railways, because in railways people like I have found that few organizations like defense, railways, and they are the organizations which are more or less driven by self motivation and its love for this organization, because money is not always very driving factor in these, especially in these organizations. So I have seen people are there, the officers and staff, they are very much fascinated about their coaches, their trains, that they live it daily that basis. And when they retire, I have seen literally they are crying just for this last run, and the coach when the train which they have been into for their 30 or 35 years, they always like it's a second home to them. So they always wanted to have this model. I have 10 or 15 models which people used to like make, and from NRM, and I have sourced it. So with this model making and all miniature making, have you ever planned it for something to earning, or to make it a earning? Like, so are people interested in buying those stuffs? Because when the stuff is of that good quality, so after all, when the things are of that high quality, so have people, like in India, do people have that craze, or maybe liking to have it into their homes, or like to for their offices, to for their corporate offices, something like this? So is it like it's a business or something like venture with people buy, or they are ready to buy all those things?
Yeah, so that is actually the uncharted territory. So, and to answer your first question, yes, we are taking this venture a little bit commercially. I wouldn't say that we are aiming for big profits, because it will not happen. We know that it is not going to happen. But we are at least trying to get this to people. क्योंकि अभी challenge ये है कि आप अगर लोगों को दिखाओगे नहीं कि है क्या, so there is no way people will be interested.
True.
So if the way I look at it, since I am passionate about it, it is my job to make people see what is the beauty of it, so that they become passionate about it. Because until unless that happens, until unless they see, and another thing that I don't know, for whatever reason, I haven't been able to decipher that. there are some very talented model makers in India. ऐसा नहीं है कि लोग हैं नहीं, but they always stay within their shell. I mean, they're a little shy of taking it to the people and sort of educating them or telling them that this is also possible by someone like you. I mean, ऐसा नहीं है कि I have some skills that I'm born with. Everything that I know today, I have done everything being here in India, learning here in India, not having any connection with anywhere outside of India. मैं यहीं देश में बैठ के यहीं से material source करके I have done it. Yes, I have made sacrifices. I agree, because I'm extremely passionate about it. I have made those sacrifices, but at the same time, through my sacrifices, I've also learned how these things can be done sitting here in India. So now the whole purpose of my channel, if you really go and see, it's all about techniques. आप कैसे बना सकते हो?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And some of those techniques, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Your materials are actually available. You just have to go and look. You have just to find the motivation to be able to do it, and you'll be able to do it. So I am taking it that way. Like, I am looking at it in a way to first motivate people to appreciate this form of art and to be able to give them what they need at a bare minimum level to be able to start with it. Once that happens, then if we see that, yes, people are becoming interested, we are able to solve those supply chain issues, we are able to produce as much as we can in India, and we are able to properly, legally go through whatever we need to get from abroad, we are able to source that. And in the end of the day, we are still able to give it at a proper price point for people, right? Because end of the day, that's what matters in India. You have to, I mean, it is not easy for someone to spend 20,000 rupees to buy a model. It's
True.
not.
Very
and I understand that, because I have made sacrifices for that. But you cannot just ask people, "Arey bhai, 20,000 ka ek model hai, le lo, thoda sacrifice kar lo yaar." That's not how it goes, right? I mean, so that is the part what I think is important. That it is, so people need to understand this is not just about the model. It is beyond that one locomotive that you buy. It is a journey for yourself. You are going to earn, you are spending money on the face of it, but you are going to learn new things. You are going to learn new skills. You are going to learn new technologies. You will be spending time learning history, just as I mentioned, right? So for an example, Matharan, I've never been to Matharan, but I have been learning about that place for last nearly 1 year so that I can build a model which is as authentic as possible. So that is the gain here. It is not about आपके पास पैसा है, आपने कुछ खरीद लिया. That is not what I am trying to promote. And I think if people get that part, if people get interested in that side of the hobby, it will grow in India, because it is not about skills. Skills that are needed for these things are, you can develop it. ऐसा नहीं है कि I was born with these things. So
yeah. So in our final leg, just I wanted to know what the next project you are working, and you have shown us some of your artifacts also. So it's about
sure.
the next project now.
I think going forward, yeah, I'm working on honestly speaking, mere paas, I mean, if I didn't have to keep my day job, then it would have been easier. But
so what really you do? You it's an hobby, it's an life, it's a second life of yours after some
Correct.
office hours. So when you live in Bangalore, and I can understand in living in big cities, it's like commuting and all. It will take around your 2 or 3 hours a day, and
correct. Yeah, I think I live in Hyderabad. So okay, fortunately, yeah. In Hyderabad, the place that I live in and where my office is, even before COVID time, the commute was never really a problem. So I am into technology consulting. So I am right now, I work with a mutual fund company as their in-house consultant. So that is my day job. So but as I was mentioning, right, for me to be able to earn that 50,000 equivalent, you have to work like 5 times harder, right?
Yes.
To earn 5 times less money, you have to work 5 times harder than your on-site counterpart. So it is a stressful job. So it has always been. So because I always had this motivation that I have to earn more money so that I can support this part of my life. And that means I have to work harder there, I have to work harder here. So it is a constant balancing act. And so it is that's how it has always been. So I work possibly at least 16 to 18 hours a day. Office का काम होता है तो ऑफिस का काम करता हूँ, उसके बाद whenever I find time I do this. Between that I have to balance rest of the things that life demands, your family, your thing. So yes, it is tough, but since it's a passion, that is the motivation, right? I mean, it really it will not stop me from the amount of work I have to do. I mean, I just cannot do it anymore. So it is never like that. I think what happens is after a 10-12 hours of work at office, if I have the 2 hours of work that I have to spend making models, I think I end up looking forward to those 2 hours, even though that is more work for me, more effort for me. I still keep looking forward to it because I know that that's where my real joy is. Coming to the next project, mostly it is going to be the Mathiran one. So not mostly, it will be the Mathiran one. So I actually have already built the locomotive. Let me swap the camera a little. Okay, so I should be able to show this to you real quick. And I don't have the display yet, but
great.
This is
that's
my
the logo which I really like about this logo. That's the high horsepower 4500 logo. So it is basically AMD logo. So actually, when I joined railways, these were the new entrants into railways, the diesel power. All, and this is one. They are two. They have 2 cabins in the modified version. This is of single side. So, but I have actually traveled a lot on this logo. So I really like this logo. This is one of my it's one of my real love for it. But yeah, this logo for the Mathiran, it's really great to see. See, these all appears very realistic now. Given that background and given that texture of soil and that grass and whatever you have, like that's cable, light, catenary, it gives the really the thing basically it's the banyan tree. It comes really appears to be really like you can just that's
keep
wonderful,
looking.
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I'll be like I'll share your experience with my colleagues also, because Neral Mathiran, I can tell you, in Central Railway where I'm working, the people are like, they are in literally a love for this Neral Mathiran. And all people in Central Railway also, they used to visit Mathiran, and Mathiran service is like a very critical service for us. So it's always very demanding service. So it's been chased by the top brass. So any day a service is like been halted or been suspended, it is like mayhem for the people working there. So yes, Mathiran, it's great work, I think. So
thank you so much.
I'll be looking after for this year whenever you get it complete. So I'll just share us how this appears now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for today, what I can do is I can, just show you this thing moving a little bit, because I think that's
great.
Wow. Real beauty of. I mean, it's a very small display, so you will not get a lot of movement, but it is
very wonderful. It's wonderful. Like seeing a vehicle traveling in front of you, it's like giving me goosebumps. Like it's because what happened is I've been railways, like I'm a 3rd generation, so it's always been like always I wanted to see train and coaches and all diesel, steam, whatever we like. So it's wonderful. Yeah, it's great, amazing.
Yeah, I think that is so this is what I was actually mentioning, and the reason I wanted to close this with a quick display is because if you take this little logo and put it in a showcase, right? It is still going to be a beautiful showcase, logo and everything. You can display it to people, and people might say, "Oh, this is very nice." But when you get to see this move, right, in the
Yes.
setup that you expect it to see, that is a different beauty altogether. I mean,
Yeah, it gives the life to it. There's no foundation to it. Like I can tell you that when I see this coach, it is somewhere kept in my showpiece. It will not move. It is something like it's something. It is okay. It is there, but there's no life to it. So it's
Correct.
there. It will not move.
Exactly.
It is something which souvenir. I can give it to someone. They will be happy. Yeah, we have this thing. But having this sort of thing, seeing and really like, it is like something when someone has not even visited the Matharan, he can just take a feel of it, yeah, how it really look like. And whenever he be in Matharan, so he can correlate, yeah, हाँ यार तो ऐसा ही है जैसा था. So it's something like this. And even this road appears to be very natural, like this is the same dusty crossing which people used to travel like.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and that's the whole idea of realism, and that is my, as I was mentioning, that is the focus. So if you really look at this, so there is a white background, but if I try to zoom in to,
yeah, from top it appears like you are it's a drone footage, so you are like taking a drone footage from the main site.
Correct. And that is the goal. So that is the goal of this hobby. Like, if you're able to achieve this, then you can give life to exactly what you said, your trains, your vehicles, or whatever it is. So that's where this comes to life. And yeah, let's just hope that you like the Matharan one, because since I have never visited Matharan, I think that's why it's a little bit of a challenge.
I really invite you to once visit Matharan, and I'll be happy to come with you to Matharan. We can go there, and Matharan is a very wonderful place to be in rainy season, especially. And so definitely, if I'll be very happy to help you out in any of these work whenever you are like you need any help in terms of how the things are, like what's the color scheme and how anything which is like can be shared in a public domain, being in this.
Absolutely.
So
No, I mean, I'm really glad we connected from that perspective. I definitely will need help. And my idea is, after I build the Matharan, so I actually want to build it without going there. Taking reference from photos and things like that. And then I will take that to Matharan, and then I will see how close I have become to, to the real place. So that is the goal. But yes, I definitely want to visit Matharan, and I would have actually done that during this time, but unfortunately COVID and everything sort of put all those vacation plans and all that in at bay. But yeah, I definitely want to visit Matharan, and once Matharan is done, my next immediate project is actually going to be Darjeeling.
The figure 8.
So so two places that are famous for hill narrow gauge. So one is, of course, I have been to Darjeeling many times, not many times, but yeah, I have been to Darjeeling enough to relate to that in person. Another is Matharan, which I can relate through photos and videos and things like that. But I really want to make sure that I can capture that authentic feel of the place. So
definitely you will. Let's see how this Matharan is appears to be very, very realistic. So I'll be like very happy once you are done with this. I can I'll see that how I can get this thing if it's once done. So
sure, absolutely.
I'll very be happy to, again we'll have this thing for this only for the Matharan work.
Only for the Matharan, yes.
Only for Matharan. Exclusive for my organization then at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you very much, Kaustav, for your sharing your all experience and all your hard work, because you are doing a fabulous job, which I can assure you, like I have seen this work. So really it always gives us a new energy in terms when we see people like in India, especially they are doing all those things when it's very hard. it is comparable to what these people abroad are doing. And I know it's very tough. I can literally understand getting these sort of a thing in India, and especially in this environment, in this our upbringing, to pursue your hobbies. Like you are like going other stream, and people are going in this. Yes. So it's always like a tough job, but you are doing a great work, and I'm very happy that you gave your valuable time for my channel. And basically, I'll really thank you for appreciate your time and your passion what you are doing right now. So I'll again I'll assure that we'll again meet for this Mathiran work and for your next ventures also. And I'll again invite you once you come to Mumbai. Then we can actually go to Mathiran, and you can bring your work there, and we'll correlate how much it came close to that
Correct.
Real
Correct.
one. So thank you very much, Kaustav.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Rohit. I mean, this has been a wonderful chat, and I am really happy that we connected. And thank you for reaching out to me. It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you for taking time to do this interview.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great
Bye.
day. Yeah. Bye.